Imagine, for a moment, that you are a citizen of a hive world. You live in the middle spires, far below the nobility, but high above the smog that chokes the underhive. It is a Tuesday, or whatever passes for a standard cycle on your world. You are working your shift at the manufactorum, stamping prayers onto casings of bolter rounds you will never fire. The routine is absolute. The tedium is your safety. Then the sky changes. It does not turn dark with rain clouds. It does not brighten with a second sun. It turns the color of bruised violets and burning iron. The voxcasters, usually droning with hymns to the god emperor, suddenly go silent. A static hiss cuts through the air, followed by a sound that vibrates in your teeth. A low-frequency thrum that you feel in your bones before you hear it with your ears. It is the sound of void shields collapsing. It is the sound of atmospheric displacement as ships the size of cities descend into low orbit. You look up and you see them, the Imperial Navy. They are not here to land troops. They are not here to drop space marines in drop pods to save you from an insurrection. They are hanging in the sky like executioner's blades, their lance batteries glowing with a cold accumulation of energy. You realize, with a clarity that freezes your blood, that help is not coming. The ships are not pointing their guns at the enemy, they are pointing them at you. This is the reality of the Exterminatus. It is the singular, most terrifying authority vested in the servants of the Imperium. It is not war. War implies a conflict, a struggle, a chance for victory or defeat. This is not war. This is deletion. This is the moment when the Imperium of Man looks at one of its own worlds, a jewel of infrastructure, history, and billions of human lives, and decides that it is better to burn it to ash than to let it exist for 1 second longer. Welcome to the ultimate sanction. In this episode, we are not just discussing the weapons, the life-eater viruses and cyclonic torpedoes, though we will decode their physics. We are going into the mind of the Inquisitor, whose hand hovers over the rune of activation. We are exploring the horrifying calculus of sacrificing a planet to save a sector. If you are ready to witness the death of a world, verify your clearance level and subscribe to the Silent Imperium. The fleet is in position. The judgment has been made. To understand Exterminatus, you must first strip away your 21st century morality. You must abandon the idea that human life has inherent, inviolable value. In the grim darkness of the far future, life is the currency of the Imperium, and it is a currency spent by the trillion. The Imperium is a galactic empire under siege from every vector. Xenos from without, heretics from within, and daemons from beyond reality itself. In this state of total war, a single planet is not a world, it is a strategic asset. Or it is a liability. The decision to order an Exterminatus is never taken lightly, despite what the memes might suggest. It is not a button pressed by a trigger-happy Inquisitor because he saw a single mutant. It is a complex, agonizing, and bureaucratic nightmare. It is the arithmetic of genocide. Consider the logic. If a world falls to a demonic incursion, the very fabric of reality on that planet becomes a gateway to the warp. If that gateway remains open, demons will spill out not just onto the planet, but into the void system, consuming neighboring worlds, spreading the infection like gangrene in a limb. If you cut off the limb, the body survives. If you hesitate, the body dies. The Exterminatus is the amputation. The authority to sanction this absolute destruction is restricted to the highest echelons of imperial power. It belongs to the High Lords of Terra, though they rarely exercise it directly. It is delegated to Lord Inquisitors, Chapter Masters of the Adeptus Astartes, and Lord High Admirals of the Imperial Navy. But even for them, the weight is crushing. Imagine holding a datapad that lists the population of the target world. 14 billion souls, men, women, children, loyal servants of the throne. They have done nothing wrong. They are simply in the way of a Tyranid hive fleet that will consume their biomass to fuel an armada that could wipe out the entire segmentum. If you kill these 14 billion people now, you starve the hive fleet, you halt its advance, you save 500 other worlds. If you spare them, you grant them a few more weeks of life before they are eaten alive, and in doing so, you condemn the rest of the sector to death. The math is simple. The math is irrefutable, but it is the math of monsters. This is the paradox of the Imperium. To protect humanity, it must often destroy humans. The Exterminatus is the physical manifestation of the Imperium's hatred, not just for the alien, but for the weakness of its own territory. It is a declaration that, if I cannot have this world, no one will. It is the ultimate scorched earth policy, executed on a planetary scale. But how is it actually done? When the order is given, when the tears are shed, or the hearts are hardened, what mechanisms are unleashed to turn a biosphere into a graveyard? The methods are as varied as they are horrifying, and the first among them is a biological nightmare that dissolves life at the cellular level. The most infamous method of Exterminatus does not begin with fire. It begins with sickness. It is the deployment of the Life-Eater virus. In the annals of imperial warfare, few weapons inspire as much revulsion as this. Standard orbital bombardment is crude. It smashes cities and breaks bunkers. The Life-Eater is different. It is designed for one specific purpose: to separate the organic from the inorganic, and to erase the former entirely. The delivery system is deceptively simple. Ceramic warheads are dropped from low orbit. They do not carry high explosives. They carry a payload of genetically engineered viral strains so potent, so aggressive, that they defy natural evolution. When these warheads detonate in the upper atmosphere or upon impact, they release an aerosol cloud. At first, it might look like a thick, sickly smog rolling over the hills, but this is not smoke. It is a biological agent that attacks cellular bonds. If you were on the ground, the first warning would be the smell. It is the scent of rotting meat amplified 1,000 times, hitting you before the fog even touches you. Then comes the pain. The Life-Eater virus does not just kill, it liquefies. Upon contact with skin, the virus begins to break down the molecular structure of your flesh. It is rapid necrosis on a planetary scale. There is no immunity. There is no hazmat suit capable of withstanding it for long. A soldier in full carapace armor might survive a few minutes longer than a civilian in rags, but the result is the same. The seals fail, the filters clog with the biological sludge of the atmosphere, and then the rot sets in. Within minutes, vast forests turn into black slime. Oceans of water are choked with the dissolving biomass of billions of fish and leviathans. But the true horror is in the cities. Imagine the sound of a hive city dying. It is not the roar of battle. It is a wet, gurgling scream that rises and then abruptly falls silent as throats dissolve and lungs fill with fluid. People do not just die, they melt. They are reduced to their component proteins. A human being is converted into a puddle of organic sludge in the span of heartbeats. The virus spreads exponentially, feeding on the biomass it destroys to fuel its own expansion. It sweeps across continents like a dark tide, ignoring stone, steel, and ceramite, hunting only for the pulse of life. In less than an hour, a world that was teeming with billions of souls becomes a silent, dripping tomb. The skyscrapers still stand, the tanks are parked in the streets, the breakfast tables are set, but the people are gone. They have been reduced to a layer of sludge coating the floor. But the horror of the Life Eater is not just in the liquefaction, it is in the byproduct. As the virus consumes all organic matter on the planet, it releases massive amounts of flammable gas as a waste product. The atmosphere of the world thickens, turning into a global ocean of highly combustible decay. The planet is now dead, but the Imperium is thorough. The ritual is not complete. The virus has done its work, but the cleansing requires one final act.
The world is now a corpse, wrapped in a shroud of explosive gas. The Inquisitor or Admiral watching from the bridge sees the planet below change color. The blue of oceans and the green of forests are gone, replaced by a uniform, sickly brown. The sensors report 0 life signs. This is the moment of ignition. From the flagship, a single lance battery is charged. It does not need to be a full barrage. It does not need to be a spread of torpedoes. It only requires a spark. A single beam of coherent energy is fired from the heavens. It pierces the cloud layer. When that lance strikes the surface or ignites the gas-saturated atmosphere, the reaction is instantaneous. The atmosphere catches fire. Physics takes over. The entire planet is encased in a self-sustaining firestorm. The flame front moves faster than the speed of sound, racing across the globe, fed by the gases released by the rotting dead. It is a wall of fire kilometers high, scouring the surface of the world. If anything somehow survived the virus, perhaps deep in a hermetically sealed bunker or a microorganism buried in the soil, it is now incinerated. The temperature on the surface skyrockets to thousands of degrees. The sludge that was once the population is baked into ash. The stone of the hive spires cracks and vitrifies. The oceans boil away into steam, and then the steam itself is burned off. From space, it looks as if a new star has been born. The planet glows with a blinding, white-hot intensity. It is a purification by fire in the most literal sense. The Life Eater kills the biological host. The firestorm sterilizes the wound. When the flames finally die down, days or weeks later, there is no atmosphere left. The winds have ceased because there is no air to move. The sky is black, not blue, because there are no particles to scatter the light. The world is a barren rock, stripped down to its mantle. This is the clean death. It is the method used when the physical planet must be preserved for potential terraforming centuries later, or when the corruption is biological, like Tyranids or a plague of Nurgle. But sometimes the corruption runs deeper. Sometimes the planet itself is the enemy. Sometimes the Necrons awaken from their tombs deep beneath the crust, and burning the surface is not enough. When the rock itself must be broken, the Imperium turns to a weapon of sheer brute force, they turn to the Cyclonic Torpedo. Sometimes fire is not enough. The Life-Eater virus and the subsequent firestorm are effective against biological threats, Tyranids, orcs, or heretical uprisings that exist on the surface. But the enemies of the Imperium are not always flesh and blood, and they do not always dwell under the open sky. Deep beneath the crust of a seemingly innocent world, a Necron tomb complex might be waking up, its living metal structures impervious to viral agents or surface flames. Or perhaps a gene-stealer cult has burrowed so deep into the mantle that no atmospheric incineration can reach them. In these cases, you do not need to clean the surface. You need to shatter the world. This is the purpose of the two-stage Cyclonic Torpedo. If the Life-Eater is a scalpel, the Cyclonic Torpedo is a sledgehammer swung by a god. These are not standard ship-to-ship munitions. They are colossal devices, sanctified by the Mechanicus and loaded with a reverence reserved for holy relics. The horror of this weapon lies in its mechanism. It does not simply explode upon impact. That would be a waste of energy. When a two-stage Cyclonic Torpedo strikes a planet, the first stage activates. This is a concentrated melta charge of immense power. It does not detonate outwards, it burns downwards. It punches a hole through the planet's crust, slicing through kilometers of rock, bedrock, and continental plate in a matter of seconds. It creates a tunnel of superheated plasma, burrowing straight toward the planet's core. Then there is a pause, a moment of silence where the weapon disappears into the throat of the world. Deep within the planet, amidst the unstable pressures of the liquid mantle or solid core, the second stage detonates. This is not a chemical explosion. It is a destabilization event. The force of the blast disrupts the hydrostatic equilibrium of the planet. It effectively breaks the planet's internal gravity and tectonic integrity. From space, the result is apocalyptic. You do not see a mushroom cloud. You see the planet itself begin to distort. The crust cracks open like the shell of an egg hit by a hammer. Tectonic plates the size of continents are heaved upwards and thrown into the void. Magma from the core bleeds out into space, painting the dark vacuum with veins of blinding orange and red. The atmosphere is vented instantly. Any living thing on the surface is not just burned, it is annihilated by the sheer kinetic violence of the ground beneath its feet, tearing apart. Mountains crumble, oceans flash boil into the vacuum, and cities are pulverized into dust as the ground they stand on ceases to exist. In the end, there is no planet left. There is only a drifting field of asteroids, a cloud of dust, and the cooling embers of a world that once hosted billions. The Necron tomb is shattered. The deep bunkers are exposed to the cold of space. The threat is gone. This is the ultimate expression of the Imperium's military philosophy. There is no price too high for security. Better an asteroid than a stronghold of the enemy. We are standing at the precipice of total destruction. If you are appreciating this deep dive into the grim reality of Imperial warfare and the lore of the 40K universe, take a moment to subscribe to the Silent Imperium. Join us and ensure you do not miss the next decoding of the galaxy's darkest secrets. Now, we must turn our gaze from the weapon
to the hand that wields it. We have spoken of viruses and torpedoes, of firestorms and cracked crusts, but the most dangerous component of an Exterminatus is not the weapon itself. It is the conscience of the man or woman who orders it. It is easy to caricature the Inquisition as a collection of foaming zealots eager to burn anything that looks at them sideways. And indeed, there are those, the mono-dominants, who believe that the only good world is a purified one. But the true horror of the Exterminatus is not found in the fanatic. It is found in the pragmatist. Consider the case of Lord Inquisitor Fjellbach Cryptman. He is perhaps the greatest mass murderer in the history of the Imperium since the Horus Heresy, and yet he is a hero. When Hive Fleet Leviathan threatened to consume the Segmentum Solar and reach Holy Terra itself, Cryptman realized that military victory was impossible. You cannot shoot a swarm that numbers in the trillions. You run out of bullets before they run out of bodies. So he made a calculation. He looked at the path of the Hive Fleet, and he looked at the worlds in its way, worlds teeming with imperial citizens, agricultural centers, and industrial hubs, and he ordered them burned. Not because they were corrupted, to create a firebreak. He exterminated dozens of worlds, murdering billions of innocent souls, simply to deny the Tyranids their biomass. He starved the beast. Imagine being that man. Imagine standing on the bridge watching a world burn, knowing that down there are children who pray to the same emperor you serve, knowing that you are their apocalypse. You do not do this out of hatred. You do it out of a cold, suffocating love for humanity as a species. You kill the few to save the many. But the human mind is not built for such calculus. How does an inquisitor sleep after signing a death warrant for a civilization? Some go mad, their minds shattering under the weight of the ghosts they have created. Some become numb, turning into hollow shells who view human life as nothing more than numbers on a cogitator screen, becoming no better than the uncaring universe they fight against. And some seek death. They continue their duty, hoping that one day a blade in the dark or a Xenos claw will end their watch, granting them the oblivion they delivered to so many others. The Exterminatus is a weapon that kills two worlds, the one on the planet below and the inner world of the one who pushes the button. However, there is a darker truth that even the Inquisition hesitates to whisper. The Exterminatus is projected as the ultimate display of imperial power, a demonstration of absolute control. But in reality, it is often an admission of defeat. When an Inquisitor orders the destruction of a world, they are admitting that the Imperium has failed to hold it. They are admitting that the Astra Militarum could not hold the line, that the Astartes could not turn the tide, that the Ecclesiarchy's faith was not enough to banish the daemon. It is the ultimate tantrum of a dying empire. If we cannot win, no one wins. And worse, sometimes it is a mistake. The history of the Imperium is written in lost records and redacted files. How many worlds have been burned on false intelligence? How many planetary governors have been framed by rivals, leading to an inquisitorial fleet darkening their skies? How many times has an Exterminatus been triggered to cover up a mistake, a political scandal, or the discovery of technology that the Mechanicus wants to hide rather than share? Furthermore, the destruction is permanent. The Imperium has forgotten how to build the wonders of the dark age of technology. Every time a hive world is vaporized, we lose STC fragments, we lose art, we lose history, We lose genetic lines that will never be replaced. We are burning our own library to keep the wolves away from the door. There is a terrifying irony here. The Imperium claims to be the guardian of humanity, yet in its desperation to survive, it systematically destroys the very things that make humanity worth saving: its culture, its diversity, and its living history. We are surviving, yes, but with every world we burn, we become less human and more like the unfeeling weapons we wield. We are hollowed out, leaving only a shell of ceramite and hatred. And when the fires finally die down and the fleet moves on, what is left? When the violence ends, silence returns. It is a silence deeper than the one that existed before the arrival of the fleet. Before, there was the electronic hum of a civilization, radio waves, vox traffic, the heat signatures of engines. Now there is only the background radiation of the universe and the cooling infrared ghost of a murdered world. A world subjected to Exterminatus is often reclassified. In the vast Administratum archives on Terra, a scribe who will never see the stars crosses out the name of a hive world or an agri-world and stamps it with a new designation: Dead World. It is a bureaucratic tombstone. But physically, the site becomes something else. If the planet was cracked by cyclonic torpedoes, it is now an asteroid belt, a hazard to navigation. Scavengers and rogue traders might eventually drift through the debris, picking through the shattered remains of continental plates for adamantite or ceramite. They are grave robbers in the truest sense, mining the bones of a planet for profit. If the world was scoured by the Life-Eater virus, it remains whole but barren. It becomes a desolate sphere of rock and ash, windswept and gray. Sometimes the Imperium returns. Centuries later, terraforming ships might arrive to seed the atmosphere again, to scour the radiation, and to plant the seeds of a new biosphere on the ashes of the old. There is a profound horror in this cycle. It implies that humanity is fungible, that we are just biological matter to be placed on a rock, and if that batch spoils, it is scraped off so a new batch can be poured. The cities you built, the art you created, the wars you fought, they are all erased. The geological record of the planet will show a thin layer of ash and carbon, the only physical evidence that you ever existed. This is the ultimate legacy of the Exterminatus. It is not just the loss of life, it is the erasure of history. In a galaxy where the past is already a fragmented nightmare of myths and lost technology, the Exterminatus ensures that we continue to forget. We are burning the pages of our own story, one chapter at a time, until nothing is left but the binding. And yet, in the twisted logic of the 41st millennium, this silence is preferable. A dead world is quiet. A demon world screams forever. A Tyranid world breeds monsters that will eat the stars. The silence of the grave is the only peace the Imperium can offer when the darkness becomes too great.
So, why do we study the Exterminatus? Why do we obsess over the mechanics of planetary death? Perhaps it is because it is the purest distillation of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. It is the perfect symbol of the Grimdark. It encapsulates the central tragedy of the setting, that in order to survive, humanity has had to become a monster.
We have had to harden our hearts to the point where burning a world is considered a tactical necessity, an act of mercy, or even a holy duty. The Exterminatus teaches us that in the far future, there are no good choices. There are only bad choices and worse ones. It forces us to confront the terrifying fragility of civilization. All our structures, our laws, our hierarchies, they can all be swept away in an hour by a virus or a beam of light. But there is also a strange, defiant dignity in it. The Exterminatus is a refusal to surrender. It is the Imperium screaming into the void, "You will not have this." If the darkness wants our worlds, it will have to choke on the ashes. It is a scorched earth retreat, but it is a retreat that buys time. And in the 41st millennium, time is the only resource that matters. We are the Silent Imperium. We document the cost of survival. We decode the nightmares so that you can understand the price of the Emperor's peace. If you have the stomach for the truth, if you wish to stand vigil over the dying of the light, then press the like button as a seal of your loyalty. Subscribe to the channel to ensure your clearance for the next transmission. The fleet is departing. The system is quarantined. The Emperor protects.